Hello, my name is Emma and today I'm doing a somewhat random video. So in 2016, I realized that I really wanted to be more critical when it came to rating and reviewing books. In 2015, I feel like I just rated everything 5 stars, and I really did enjoy the majority of the books I read last year. But looking back on it, I just feel like I didn't do as good of a job as I could have while judging them. So I really wanted to make a video just doing some self-reflection, bringing up some of the questions and concerns I have, and hopefully through discussing this topic with you guys, I can make some of the changes that I'd like to my rating scale. Firstly, I think it's really important that we identify the different types of rating scales. Some people rate their books on a letter scale, others prefer to do it on a percentage of 1 to 100. Some people like 5 stars, others like 10 stars. I personally rate my books on a 5-star scale with like half points in between. Part of that is probably associated with Goodreads because that's how they do their rating scale, but I just feel like some other forms of rating are just way too broad. Like, how do you decide if a book gets an 80% or an 83%? I'm honestly getting anxiety just thinking about it. There's too much pressure. So now that I've decided on this 5-star 9-point scale, I have to actually figure out what those different ratings mean. The way I've always personally interpreted it was 5 stars means I really loved it, 4 stars means I really enjoyed it, 3 stars means it was good or it was okay, 2 stars means that I was pretty underwhelmed, and 1 star means that I really hated it. My problem is that I feel like on my personal rating scale, my 4-star rating is super close to my 5-star rating, whereas my 3-star rating is super far away from my 2-star rating. It's like the 4-star rating is super comparable to the 5-star rating, whereas 2 stars is a complete downgrade from 3. I feel that subconsciously I just think of like the distance between 3 and 2 being so different, like on totally different scales, even though each point is equidistant from each other. So as you go down in star ratings, they really should be kind of similar as to like 1 star above or 1 star below, instead of it being really great to really bad really fast. I've just always struggled with keeping the star ratings equal from each other instead of having the top 2 be so negatively skewed and the bottom 2 be so positively skewed. You know what I'm saying? So then we hit the point in my thought process where I'm like, how does this book that I'm currently about to rate compare to other books that have that same rating? For example, I might just finish a book and absolutely love it. I feel like it has no flaws and it deserves 5 stars, absolutely. But then I think, well, I gave Harry Potter 5 stars and I gave the Mortal Instruments 5 stars, and I gave The Hunger Games 5 stars. So is this book really a 5-star book? I mean, for me, those are really extreme examples of 5 stars, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. So if my answer to that question is no, my next thought is, well, does that mean that there's different levels under each number star rating? And if so, does that mean that my scale is actually invalid and that it's wrong to group these books together? There are going to be a lot of questions in this video. Sometimes they may be intended to be rhetorical, like just for me to question my thought process, or if you have an answer to them, I would love to know. I'm just warning you that there are so many questions in this video because I'm trying to understand where I'm coming from and where I want to get to, and I can really only express that through questions. But my point around that is, when we rate a book, are we rating it compared to other books, or are we rating it on its individual characteristics? And if it is based on individual characteristics, how accurate is that rating now? While I understand that ratings can be a very personal thing that we use to express how much we like a book, they're also widely used to determine where a book lies on a spectrum on how it compares to other books. For example, when I go into Barnes & Noble and I look at a book I've never heard of before, a lot of times I'll use the Goodreads scanning app in order to check the ratings to see if I should actually buy it or not. I mean, think about it. Disregard books for a second. Just think about ratings in general. How do you feel when you look online and see a new movie that came out and it only has 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, or if you're looking for new restaurants and the one you were considering going to ends up only having 2 stars. While rating scales can be used as an arbitrary concept, a lot of times they're used to determine something's worth. I'm clearly taking a psychological assessment class with all of this talk about reliability and validity right here. But I'm really curious as to what's actually more important when we're rating a book. Is it comparison or individuality? Which kind of brings me to my next point. So I don't consider myself to be a reviewer in like any respect, but I will admit there is a handful of people on the internet that do appreciate my opinions on books. For example, you guys. That being said, I feel like my personal reading habits interfere with what I feel a book deserves a lot of the time. This whole string of thoughts I have right here under this topic is really confusing, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it across actually the way I want it to, so just bear with me. So let me try and break this down into an example. I recently read The Diviners by Libba Bray, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I loved almost everything about this book, except for the multiple perspectives. Now, I almost always dislike books if they have multiple perspectives. perspectives. I could love everything else about a book, but for some reason I can never give it a 5-star rating just because it has multiple perspectives. It's not like I intentionally do that, it just so happens that multiple perspectives are kind of distracting to me as a reader, and there's something that I don't like about them as a personal reader. So with that info, I'm sure you guys can guess that I only ended up giving The Diviners a 4.5-star rating. And if I were to disregard my dislike for the multiple perspectives, it definitely would have been 5 stars. So I'm pretty confident that this is just something that I deal with, being the neurotic person that I am, but a lot of times, especially lately, I find myself getting so frustrated when I have to sit down and analyze the content of a book. Like, I know that this book deserves 5 stars. I wish I could give it 5 stars, but with who I am as a reader, I just can't do it. And this isn't just with multiple perspectives. I mean, this happens in a lot of cases. We all have our own reading biases and our own reading preferences. I mean, this happens with multiple genres for me and multiple tropes that a book is centered around. And I'm fully aware of the fact that when rating a book, my responsibility is to be honest, not to give it what I think it deserves for other people. Like I said, ratings are a personal thing and I understand that, but I just hate giving out this rating and presenting it to the world when I know that, like, I'm not loving it to the potential that I could just because of who I am as a reader. I just can't help but get angry with myself for having these reading biases constantly every time I read and letting it affect what I think a book actually deserves. I think it's a problem with me as a reader, not so much as a rater, but still I feel like they're so connected with the things that we prefer in a book and how it affects our ratings that I had to include it here. Because you can very easily be a reader without reviewing, but you can't be a reviewer or a rater without reading. So over the next year, and hopefully throughout my life as a reader, I really want to work on getting rid and breaking down all of those reading related grudges that I feel are totally preventing me from reaching the potential that I could to like a book. I just feel that if I was more open-minded and I wouldn't let these preconceived biases really determine a book from the start for me, that it would help me rate books more honestly and let me give a more accurate representation of what it's worth to me. So that's really it for my overly analytical discussion on rating scales. I would love to know if anyone else in this entire community of BookTube has really thought in depth about their rating scale, so it makes me feel a little less neurotic. This is something that has been bothering me since the beginning of 2016, and I know we're not that far into 2016, but it's like a constant thing in the back of my mind, and I just want to make sure it's not just me. I'm going to be trying really hard over the next year to get my rating scale and my reviews all in the order that I want them to be, in the way that I think that they should be. So I'm just wondering, is anyone else, is that a goal for you guys for 2016? Definitely leave me a comment letting me know what scale you guys prefer to use and why. Are your rating scales based on comparison, or are they based on individual characteristics, or are they based off of something else? Are there any aspects that you think really affect your rating scale? And I mean, that could be a positive thing or a negative thing. It could be a negative thing like me, where I feel like all of these biases are totally impacting my rating scales, or it could be a positive thing like just certain things you automatically go to as reference when you want to rate a book. Is there anything that you thought about either before this video or while watching this video about rating scales that maybe I forgot that you want to bring up to me? Because I'm always looking for more discussion. That's why I love making discussion videos. I've been really excited to make this video just because I feel like now that I've talked about it, I'm at the point where I can start moving forward, and that's a very exciting thing for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. That is it for this video, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!